Welcome back, class. This is going to be our video for 70-741 Lab 2 installing and configuring DNS servers. There's going to be a number of exercises we do, creating zones, subdomains, DNSSEC, caching, debugging, recursion, delegating, and then finally cleaning up our server. Keep me in mind that this lesson has an estimated runtime of about 65 minutes, but I think we're going to be able to complete it in a lot less than that. So let me go ahead and get this out of the way. And I'll begin by logging into our DC1. Lun-DC1 is the only system that we're going to be using for this. And here is our server. So I'm going to begin with exercise 2.1, creating a DNS zone. So like everything else we do, we go to Tools and we go to DNS. I'm going to make this a little bit larger, make it easier to see. So we've got our standard setup that was integrated with Active Directory when we created our domain. If we expand our DC1 and we select forward lookup zones, we can see that there's two zones already there. Question 1. Why is a zone for the root domain of your DNS namespace already present in the forward lookup zones folder? Well, I just gave you the answer a few moments ago. It was created when we installed Active Directory Domain Services. That installation wizard for our domain, when we promoted this system to be a domain controller, it created the zone as it promoted the server to a domain controller. That's how that's created. It was the installation wizard for Active Directory Domain Services created these zones as it promoted this server to be a domain controller. So, how do we create new zones? We can do this by simply right-clicking the forward lookup zone and selecting New Zone. We're going to click Next. We're going to create a primary zone, so we're going to leave that selected. We're going to click Next. We're going to say yes to all servers running in the domain. Next. What's our zone name going to be? It is going to be contoso.com, another one of the Microsoft domains. We click Next. On Dynamic Updates page, we're going to select Allow both non-secure and secure because this one's not hosted in our Active Directory. We're going to click Next, and we're going to click Finish. And just like that, we can now see the contoso.com lookup zone has been created. At this point, you're going to take a screenshot and paste it into your workbook. If I click on the contoso.com, I can see that it automatically created two records. What are those two records? Question number 2. Which resource records appear in the new zone you created by default? What we're looking for is the type. I see two types of records. Please list those as your answer for question number 2. We're done with exercise 2.1. That wasn't so bad. Exercise 2.2, creating DNS subdomains. So we're going to create subdomains that would allow us to departmentalize a human resources department, a sales department, and a production department. So we're in our DNS manager. Our forward lookup zones is expanded already. We've selected our contoso.com. We're going to right click on Contoso and say New Domain. We're simply going to type in HR. That's going to be our short name for human resources, and click OK. Now we can see that that folder's been created there. We're going to do the same steps. We're going to repeat that same step, and we're going to create new domain sales, and we're going to create new domain production. We can now see our folders created. Question number 3. Which resource records appear in the new domains you created by default? If I select the HR domain, are there any records? Well, there's your answer. There are no resource records in the domains by default. Next, that's your screenshot. Take your screenshot and paste it into step 5. We're done with exercise 2.2. That was hard. Now, DNS security, DNSSEC, it's a suite of protocols defined by the IETF, that's the Internet Engineering Task Force, for use on IP networks. It provides DNS clients or resolvers with proof of identity of our DNS records and verified denial of existence. It doesn't provide availability or confidentiality. So it doesn't support the C or the A in the CIA triad of cybersecurity, but it does provide integrity. So we're going to right-click on the contoso.com domain, and we're going to go down here to DNSSEC, and we're going to say sign the zone. On the signing wizard, we're going to click next. On the signing options page, make sure that customize zone signing parameters is selected, and then we click next. Now, this page is the key master. Question number 4. What is the key signing key used for? And just like everything else, our answer is right here, right? What does it do? The key signing key is an authentication key that corresponds to a private key used to sign one or more other signing keys. You'll also get this in your reading. So, key signing key is an authentication key that corresponds to a private key, and it's used to sign one or more other signing keys. I know this is all new. We haven't talked about keys and signing keys and private keys and all that yet. This is going to fall under our certification authority, certificate services. That's principally where we use our keys, but this is a little bit different. This is a different animal. This is new learning for us. So what is the key signing key used for? It's used as an authentication key that corresponds to a private key used to sign one or more other signing keys. Once you've answered that, go ahead and click next. And here is that answer that I just provided you. The key signing key is an authentication key that corresponds to a private key used to sign one or more other signing keys. We click next. On the key signing key page here, we're going to click add because there's no keys listed there, right? On the new key signing key, we're simply going to click OK and accept the settings. We now have a generated key. We click next. On the key zoning key, zone signing key rather, we click next. On the zone signing key dialog box right here, we're going to click add. Again, we're going to click OK and accept those default settings. Now we're back onto the zone signing key page. We click next. On the NSEC, Next Secure. We're going to accept those settings and click Next. On the Trust Anchors page, we're simply going to click Next. On the Signing and Polling Parameters page, click Next. On our Review page, we're going to click Next. And we are now signing the zone, and it has been successfully signed. Click Finish. Let's go ahead and refresh, and we can see a whole lot of new records that have been created. If you were successful in completing this, take another screenshot and paste it into step 19 in your workbook. Exercise 2.3 is done. We're rolling right along. Now, let's enable DNS cache locking, exercise 2.4. Cache locking prevents an attacker from replacing records in the resolver cache while the TTL, the time to live, is still in force. When that cache locking is enabled, records can't be overwritten, so it's a way to help protect your DNS cache. We're going to go and we're going to click Start. We're going to type CMD. And we're going to open up our command prompt. And we're going to type in the following command: DNSCMD /config /cache locking percentage or %, sorry about that. And we're going to give it a value of 100. We press enter and we get the response: registry property cache locking % successfully reset. The command completed successfully. We are then going to stop and start our DNS service. Well, we don't have to go to Tools and Services. We can do it right from here. We type in the command net stop DNS. Nope, it helps if I type it correctly. A DNS server is stopping. I can type in a very similar command, net start DNS, to start the DNS service, and it has restarted. Exercise 2.4 is done. Take a screenshot showing the stopping of DNS and the restarting of DNS and paste it into step number 5 in exercise 2.4. We're ready to move on to step 2.5, but first I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to type exit and close out our command prompt. So now we're going to move into exercise 2.5, configuring DNS debug logging. Logging is a troubleshooting tool. Remember, we've got Event Viewer, we've got Resource Monitor, we've got all sorts of tools that we can use to troubleshoot devices. Well, DNS logging gives us a detailed file-based analysis of the DNS packets and messages. Remember that when you enable logging, depending on the level of logging, if you enable what's called debug logging, you can add a lot of overhead processing, disk rates to the system. So you want to be careful when you want to use this. So you would not want to enable DNS debug logging to run all the time. You'd spend more time doing your logging than actually using processing power for responding to DNS requests. So we're back on our DNS Manager console. I'm going to right click on Lun-DC1 and we're going to go to Properties. Left click on Properties. You'll notice here's the debug logging tab, and by default it's not turned off. So if I click to enable log packets for debugging, which packets based on packet content are logged? Take a look at your screen. Question number 6. Which packets based on packet content are logged? And my cursor is sitting right beside it. Packets, queries/transfers, and updates. Take a screenshot and paste this into step number 5 in exercise 2.5. Everybody got that done? Okay. Okay, so now that you've got your screenshot, let's go ahead and uncheck log packets for debugging. We don't need to produce this overhead. And we're going to click OK. So we're ready to begin exercise 2.6. And 2.6 is configuring recursion and Netmask ordering. We're going to use the Advanced Options tab for this. There's some different ways that we can tell DNS to work. So we're going to right click on our DNS server, or lun-dc1 once more. We're going to go to Properties, and you'll notice there's an Advanced tab. In the Properties dialog, we've clicked the Advanced tab, and the first question that we have is, what is used to distribute load among multiple servers by rotating resource records retrieved from a DNS server? Well, you can find this in your reading. The answer is round robin. So, if that wasn't clear enough, the answer to question 7 is round robin. I'm going to now, in step 2, click to select the Disable Recursion, which also disables forwarders. When I do this, what else gets disabled? Well, what does it say? I'm not going to read it to you. You need to read it. What also gets disabled when you disable recursion? That's question number 8. Take a screenshot and paste it into step 4. Okay, ensure that the Enable Netmask ordering is still selected and click OK. Now, we're going to do the lab challenge. That was, by the way, that was the end of step or exercise 2.6. We've been rolling right through these really quick. Okay, so our lab challenge, delegating DNS administration. Because maybe you don't want to have to be the only person that can work on DNS. You've got other individuals in your department who might be better served to do this. Utilize their time. So we're going to right click on our DNS server, our lun-dc1. We're going to go to Properties, and you'll notice there's a Security tab. It's going to take a moment. There we are, and there are our security groups. What are the first 3 ADATM groups that can manage DNS? Now, is creator, owner, self, and system a group? No, they are not groups. DNS admins, domain admins, enterprise admins. These are the first 3 groups right here. These 3 groups are your first 3 groups that are listed. Guess what? That's your answer to question 9. We want to add, so we're going to click Add, and we're simply going to type in Administrator. And click OK. So it says, hey, which one do you want to use? We're going to select, because this is a group, you notice this is an individual. We're going to select the individual. We now have the administrator listed as someone who can manage DNS. By default, what permissions do they have? The administrator has allow read permission. That's the only permission that a user account that's been added to this has by default when they are first added. For the administration, we are going to select Allow Full Control. This would allow this user account to fully manage DNS. Now, we are the administrator, right? We're logged on as administrator, so it's kind of redundant for us to do this. This would be the way that you would give someone permission to manage DNS. In other words, in place of an account named administrator. Once you've done that, go ahead and take another screenshot, and that is step number 7. Here's where you're going to paste that screenshot in. We're going to go ahead and we're going to click OK. Our DNS manager is still open. And at this point, we're going to go ahead and we're going to clean everything up. We're going to right click. We're going to go back to our properties. We're going to go to Advanced. We're going to deselect Disable Recursion. We're going to click Apply. We're going to go to Security. We're going to select the administrator account and we're going to remove. We're going to click Apply. We're going to click OK and close our Properties dialog. We're going to right click on the contoso.com domain and we're going to select Delete. On the confirmation, we're going to click Yes, saying, hey, this is being integrated in Active Directory. Do you really want to get rid of it? We're going to say yes. And we're back to the beginning. We're back to where we started. Just like that. Thank you for completing this lab. I look forward to you posting your workbook to Dropbox and do D2L. Thank you.